Hey guys, what's up? It's Sane4414 or Tony. How's everyone doing today? Happy New Year! Today's not New Year, today's the 31st of December. However, this video will probably go up tomorrow on the 1st of January 2019. Anyway, so a friend of mine who I've known since high school actually asked me a question. And I remembered I don't think I've ever actually talked about this. I mean, I've talked about this briefly on my streams and stuff like that. But I've never actually done a video on this. So, what was my friend's question? Her question was how I got into Pokemon. And my story with that. So, we're going to go back to 1998, I think. Might be 97. I want to say I started watching the show from the beginning, like that here in the US. One thing I do really remember is in, I think, 5th grade, 5th or 4th grade. There was someone I was like, you know how in like elementary school you're dating someone kinda. So yeah, there was someone I really liked, and she gave me some Pokemon cards. I remember that because they were like wrapped up in a thing, and she gave them to me. And the one thing I remember about that is not long after that, as everybody knows, Pokemon cards at one point, because trading cards at schools became a big thing, so they kind of got banned. So you kind of had to be careful in how you distributed them and stuff like that. So you just had to find ways to get them to people, stuff like that. So I started with the cards. As far as the cards go, I didn't do much with them because being visually impaired, I can't really read them. But I did, like, someone would tell me, oh hey, you have a Machamp. 100 HP, this attack does this much, this attack does this much. Oh yeah, by the way, my Machamp was holographic. You guys know how holos work. Anyway, so basically, back then, it was more of a... I didn't really know a lot about the TCG back then. I don't even think it was a big thing back then. So I kind of just played. It's like, oh, hey, I would play someone. It's like, they'd read me the cards like, hey, you have a Machamp. This does this much damage. That card has like 120 HP. So that's like 50 HP. You lose 120 minus 50 gives you like 70. Stuff like that. So that's how I was for a while. I was into the games, or the TCG, like trading card game. And then, not long after that, I played like basically from the beginning, Red, Blue, and Yellow. I remember playing Pokemon Red. I actually played all three. I've played Red, Blue, and Yellow, but I remember playing Pokemon Red. I remember using the Mew code, the Mew glitch, to get Mew in Pokemon Red. I remember Game Facts, Game FAQ. You would go there and you'd find all sorts of stuff on the Pokemon games and stuff like that. Like different cheat codes and stuff like that. This is before internet was really a big thing and everybody was like, hey, let's go... Someone did a video on how to do this, or someone did a video on how to do that. This was in the beginnings of the internet, back in the 90s. I also remember Pokemon Gold. I did say I played Red, Blue, and Yellow, but my favorite Pokemon was Typhlosion. In Pokemon Gold, I still feel sad because I have no idea where that cartridge is. I lost it at some point. I'm pretty sure I still have them getting red and blue cartridges, which I've restarted multiple times. But Pokemon Gold, I had that game. I played through that game. I had a Typhlosion. So this is back when HMs were a thing. HMs are basically what you call hidden machines. In Pokemon games, you got technical machines and hidden machines. The technical machines are basically attacks that you can teach to a Pokemon and then you can delete later if, like, say you want to teach it another move, or say your Pokemon learns a new move. It's like, crap, I need to delete this for a better move. And so yeah, and up until generation 5, possibly 4, don't quote me on this, the TMs were basically one use only. Like, you got it, you got the move, you taught it, and then it disappeared and you can never use it again. Unless some of the TMs you go back and buy in, like, shops. So, yeah, that's TMs, technical machines. Also, you have, HMs, which are hidden machines. Those, on the other hand, are infinite use. And you tend to get them to... Whereas technical machines, for the most part, you get usually after you beat a gym or you buy in a shop or something like that. Hidden machines, you get from random NPCs, which are non-playable characters, or in random spots throughout the game, and they usually help you to advance through the game. HMs are a thing where, say for example, one thing about HMs is you need insert particular badge, or you need to have done a certain thing in order to use it. Like, for example, in the original Red, Blue, and Yellow, normally you got cut for... No, not first. Did you get cut first? No. In Red, Blue, and Yellow, you got cut, like, on the boat. On the St. Anne. ASSN. Let's see. Cut, Surf, Fly, Strength. I think cut might have been the first HM you actually got. Flash. Cut, Surf, Fly, Strength, Flash. There were only 5 in that game. So yeah, I think Cut was like the first one you got. And Cut was one of those HMs that you couldn't use until, like, I don't think you could use it until after you got, like, a certain badge. So, for example, Lieutenant Surge was, like, the 3rd badge, and you had to use Cut to get into the gym, because there's a little thing blocking the gym. But in certain games, you had to get a certain badge, which would be like, oh hey, you got this badge, you can use this HM now. Otherwise, it's basically a way to block you from going too far in the game. Roadblocks are a thing in games. That kind of bugged me for a while. They bugged a lot of people. For example, in Generation 4, you had this thing called Defog. Defog, I hate you so much. Defog was this one HM that you needed for this really small part of the game. It was super foggy. Everyone knows what fog is. Fog is basically like, it makes it hard to get through. You can't see. I can't see anyway much. But anyway, you can't see to get through certain spots. And basically, fog is like, you need this HM to get through this spot. Not only did you need this HM, you actually had to go into this cave to get the HM. It's not like an NPC would give it to you. You had to go out of your way, go into this cave, and find it. I think an NPC still gave it to you, either that or it was just on the ground, but you still had to go out of your way to find it, which was really annoying. Anyway, back to my talk on Pokemon. Whoops. Anyway, so I started with the cards, played through Generation 1, Generation 2, which to this day is still my favorite. Typhlosion is my favorite Pokemon. Typhlosion was a Pokemon I started with So competitive is a thing now. However, back then it really wasn't. My Typhlosion at that point knew like one fire move, um, or possibly two, I don't remember. Swift and Cut. Possibly Headbutt, I don't remember. I knew it knew Swift and Cut though. Because that thing got me through the Elite Four. Elite Four is basically you get your raid badges, and then you have to fight these four bosses and a champion before you beat the game. Generation 2 took it a step further. After that, you had to go back to the original game, more or less, like Kanto, which was the original Red, Blue, and Yellow. You had to go back there, beat the 8 badges there. You didn't have to beat the Elite Four again, but most people did because Gold, Silver, and Crystal are famous for grinding. I mean, a lot of games have grinding, but Gold, Silver, and Crystal have lots of grinding. Because at the end of the game, you have to fight Red, who is essentially the version of you, kind of, from the original games. So it's the original champion from Red, Blue, and Yellow. And, in most cases, you finish the game in, like, the 60s. Possibly lower. Red's Pokemon, however, are in, like, the 80s, and I think his Pikachu was, like, level 90. So, good luck with that. Anyway, after Generation 2, given Generations 1 and 2 were essentially on the regular Game Boy. Aside from Crystal, which was on the Game Boy Color. Like, strictly the Game Boy Color. Like, all the original games, Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, and Silver, you could play on the regular Game Boy. Crystal, you had to have a Game Boy Color for. I have the old black and white Game Boy. I have a Game Boy Color. I have a Game Boy Pocket. I have two Game Boy Advance SPs. And I have two 3DSs. One's a Capture Card 3DS, and one's a regular 3DS XL. Anyway, back to my talk. So, Generation 3 came to the Game Boy Advance. I didn't have a Game Boy Advance right away. It took me a while to get one, but when I got my hands on one, I had Fire Red, or Leaf Green, I think I had Fire Red first, which is essentially, Fire Red was when they started doing remakes of games. First I played through Ruby, which I also unfortunately lost somewhere. I had fire types tend to be my thing. Although in Red, Blue, and Yellow I did end up at one point using like all three starters throughout the original Kanto games, but after that I tried to strictly stick to fire. So, Generation 4, my starter was Blaziken, or Torchic. Firefighting starter. Worked great for Generation... Why do I keep saying Generation 4? That's Generation 3. Worked great for Generation 3. However, Generation 4 and Generation 5 decided to, continue the trend of firefighting starters. So, that was a thing. I kinda hated that. I still picked the firefighting starter most times, but I also kinda hated it. But anyway, so fire types, firefighting me, firefighting basically meant, hey, you can beat grass types, you can beat normal types, you can beat rock types. Well, that's actually their secondary. Like, usually they start off as fire. They don't get their fighting subtype until either their second evolution, or their first evolution, or their final stage. So, yeah. Generation 3 was, I guess, the first time where you didn't really get a lot of Kanto Pokemon in Hoenn. So Hoenn was like, we're gonna give you these mons, but we're not gonna give you the ability to go back and get these other mons. Also, unfortunately, you couldn't trade with previous games. Yeah, trading has been a thing in Pokemon. Between Gens 1 and 2, you could trade forward. And I think you could also trade backward, but you had to, like, you lost certain moves in the process, and you couldn't trade Pokemon from, like, Generation 2 Pokemon back to Generation 1. It's usually specifically Generation 1 Pokemon. Like, you could trade a Charmander from Gen 2 to Gen 1. You could not, however, trade, like, say, a Togepi from Gen 2 to Gen 1. Speaking of that, let's get back to the anime, because that was another thing I was really into. Honestly, up until about recently, meaning like Sun and Moon, I basically watched the anime, not like extensively. I just kind of made sure I watched like all the episodes so I knew what was going on. Sun and Moon, I kind of haven't all that much. Unfortunately, with the anime, because of 4Kids, back in Generation 5? No, it's not Generation 5. It's Generation 3. 3. Yeah, Generation 3, which is like the Hoenn games. At the end of Season 8, um, 4Kids lost their, like, 4Kids had a lawsuit, so they lost their, basically their licensing, which meant that all the original voice actors for Pokemon, Veronica Taylor, Zagnit, I can't remember his first name, who played Professor Oak. Veronica Taylor played Ash and May and Ash's mom, and she voiced a lot of different characters. And then you have Eric Stewart, who voiced Brock, Butch, James, Magikarp Salesman, and then you had Maddie Blaustein, rest in peace. She played Meowth, and then Jessie and Misty were played by Rachel Lelis. But yeah, that's like the main cast. So all of them, more or less, whenever it hit, like the 4Kids thing hit, all of them lost their jobs. So they were basically, they're like, hey, we're gonna get new voice actors. And that kind of bugged me because, as you guys know, I'm visually impaired, so voices are a thing for me. So season 9 frustrated me. I watched season 9 because season 8, as opposed to ending like a season, it ended in the middle of an arc of sorts. Like the Battle Frontier arc ended. Like he had gotten his first symbol, like new badge or whatever you want to call it. And then they changed the voice actors season 9, which started the second half of that. More badges or frontier symbols. So then I continued watching. Like I said, the voices were not very good for like season 9, particularly most of season 9. Like close to the end of season 9, it got better. And then season 10, it was great. But anyway, so season 9, they switched to like Sarah Natticini as Ash, and I don't remember the other voice actors. They did bring like Rachel Lillis back in season 10 as Maylene, who was the fourth badge in Hoenn. But yeah, they did bring some of the older voice actors back for different roles, like smaller roles, but they never came back as their original voice actors. Heck, Veronica Taylor never came back. There was a petition about 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah, it was either 2 years ago or last year. Basically, to have her reprise her playing at her voicing Ash for the Pokemon I Choose You movie in 2000. And it was like a remake of the second movie, sorta. Well, it's a remake of the first episode, or maybe the first arc, because it had a lot of stuff within like the first arc of the anime. So they wanted her to reprise her role as Ash, or fans did. I would have been okay with that, but of course that didn't go through. But sorry, I keep divulging into other stuff. But back to me and Pokemon. So last we left off, we were in Generation 3. Blaziken, Blaziken, who had also been introduced in the anime, going into Generation 3. At the end of Generation 2, at the end of the Johto League, was introduced to basically tell us, hey, Ash is going to here. Ash is going to go to Hoenn. This is a new mon that tells you, So this will force him to go to a new region. Also, they introduced Kecleon for some reason way before, but we never knew where it was from until later. Pokemon is famous for introducing new mons from the next season. In the previous season, it actually kind of started with Generation 1 when Misty got Togepi. Anyway, so Generation 3, I got the 3D, no, not the 3DS, why do I keep saying that? I got the Game Boy Advance. That worked for Generation 3 and Generation 4. No, it did not work for 4. I didn't get Generation 4. I didn't even get a 3. Unfortunately, after Generation 3, I kind of took a break with Pokemon. Not intentionally. I was in, high school. No, I wasn't in high school. I was in high school in Generation 3. But Generation 4 came out, and I actually didn't get a 3DS until midway through Generation 5, meaning the black and white days. So, I picked up Black and White 1. I played through that. I also played through Black and White 2. At one point, I went to this store called Game Over Video Games. I still remember that. This was like a few years back when I was in college, because that was when I got my standard 3DS, like my regular big bulky black and white 3DS, which I still have, by the way. But I got that. Honestly, a friend of mine had actually gotten me a 3DS that you could play the the old advanced games and the 3DS games on. So it had the extra pocket, which comes in handy for Generation 4, because you could trade mons for Pokemon from Generation 3 to Generation 4. But a friend of mine, like, I got my new one. He's like, you didn't wait for me to get this. I was gonna get it. So he kind of just told me to give it back. He didn't. Later, it's like, oh, you could have been more assertive or whatever. I was just like, okay, whatever. So I gave it back. He and I are still friends. But anyway, so Generation 4 came. And I didn't get a 3DS until Generation 5. But, I did end up playing Generation 4. I had seen people play Diamond and Pearl. And here's something interesting with that. Actually, I'll come back to that. Generation, I ended up in college because we were there. Um, I ended up getting. I went to this place called Game Over Video Games, which is a virtual game place in the town over from me. And so I picked up, and this is a steal. It was literally like $30, maybe 40 or 50, I don't know. But it was like 20 something for one and like 20 something for the other. But I picked up Pokemon Platinum, which was a Gen 4 game, and Pokemon Heart Gold, which was another Gen 4 game, but Heart Gold and Soul Silver were really, really expensive, like in general. Normally you couldn't pick up those games for under like $50. They were really expensive, given it was used, but still, you couldn't pick it up for under 50 used. It also came with a Pokewalker, or originally it did when they came out. But, so I got that for pretty cheap. I still have that game. Those games sell for a lot nowadays. So I have that game. And it's a remake of the games I loved, like Generation 2. So it was also pretty fun. So I played through that. And then, like I said, I had Black and White 2, that kind of thing. And then X and Y came out. And at that point, I want to say I started streaming around then. And it's because I had been watching a lot of people like A-Drive and Shady and Nappy. Like, this is the time where I'd gotten into YouTube. Watching people on YouTube, watching people on Twitch, which is something I enjoy. So I got into that, and basically it was like, hey, I'm visually impaired / legally blind, what have you. And there aren't any blind or visually impaired YouTubers / Twitch streamers. So I decided, hey, I'll give it a shot. And I really enjoy it and have enjoyed it. So I was like, hey, I'm going to go with it. I mean, a lot of the stuff I do is shiny hunting. Sometimes I will have a friend or one of my co-mods on with me to help me get through the game with different game stuff. I do that. So, yeah, I started with X and Y, played through. I went back and played through Black and White at one point, like a little bit. I did some shiny hunting there. I did some shiny hunting in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I never finished that project. I had started a project on Heart Gold, but I never finished it. I played through Sun and Moon, which are the Gen 7 games from 2 years ago. And then I played through Ultra Sun and Moon, which are the Gen 7 games from last year. I have not played through Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which are the, I guess they're still Gen 7 games from this year, because they have pretty much said it's like a bridge between 7 and 8, because it's basically a remake of Red, Blue, and Yellow again. But from what I've seen, it's really fun. I don't know how accessible it'll be for me, but then again, when Pokemon first started, when Pokemon was on the 3DS, I was worried about accessibility because there was touchscreen. But I got through that. Speaking of that, I want to talk about something that was actually really fun and interesting for me. Back in Generation 3, I remember helping a couple people because back in Generation 3, there were, for people who don't play Pokemon, there were these 3 Pokemon: Regirock, Regice, and Registeel, or Regice as the anime called it. There was an episode, or there was a movie. Anyway, so that happened, and those particular, that particular puzzle involved Braille. And you're wondering, how is there Braille on a game? It wasn't physical Braille, like I couldn't read it. It was basically Braille on a screen. Basically, it had the Braille setup. So basically, what I had to do was someone told me, "Oh, hey, this is Braille." So I'm like, "Hey, I can help with this." I was in high school at the time. So basically, I got a piece of paper on a Braille writer. That's a thing that I use. Anyway, I got one of those. I had all the Braille characters written out. A space, B space, so on and so forth, all the way through Z. And I basically had someone match the letters. It's like, what is this letter? What is this letter? It's like, oh, it's this, it's this, it's this. So it's like right, down, A. And it would basically tell me the different directions. Use strength. And I do that. Like, I'd tell them what to do, and they do that. And that's basically how we did the Reggie puzzles. I really enjoyed that, because it's where I basically got to show someone, hey, I play Pokemon, but this is how I can actually help you. And I think I was in band at the time in high school. So yeah. But anyway, so Pokemon has just been a part of my life since like elementary school, since as long as I can remember. And even though it's getting harder to do because of like more things being more not blind friendly, I guess. My plan is to still try to find a way around it. As soon as I get a Switch, haven't done that yet. Find a way around it, get a Switch, and continue my journey through Pokemon, because it's something I love. It's something I have loved since it started, and I think it'll be something I'll love until like till either it ends or until something happens to me. I mean, God bless me with the ability to do this, and I really enjoy it. I really do. So, I will probably do another video later at some point talking more about this, but I'm feeling I've talked for at least a half hour. Um, Whoops. Anyway, so with that, I would just tell you guys, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I am saying 4414 or Tony. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. Basically, all those are saying 4414. Links will be in the description. God bless you guys. Stay safe. Happy New Year. And peace.